Reporters Without Borders has condemned what it calls the acknowledged murder of Al Jazeera correspondent Anas Al-Sharif by the Israeli army. The press freedom group told AFP it strongly and angrily denounces the killing of Al-Sharif and other journalists after Israel labeled him a Hamas terrorist and called on the international community to intervene. The Israeli military says it targeted Al-Sharif, alleging he led a Hamas cell responsible for rocket attacks and presented documents it claims prove his military role. The strike in Gaza City also killed 4 other Al Jazeera staff and 2 others near Al-Shifa hospital, according to the broadcaster and Gaza's health ministry. Now, for this discussion, we are joined by Ali M. Abushbak. He's an independent Palestinian researcher joining us live from Cairo. Thank you, Ali, for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, what was your reaction seeing that same person in media and journalist has been hit like this, targeted like this, and he is with others who were reporting with him?
Thank you, Osama, for having me again. Today it's a mourning day and it's a grief day for the Palestinian and for the freedom of speech entire the world. It is not the first action Israel deliberately targeting the journalists in Palestine, and particularly during this duration of the war. More than 300 Palestinian journalists have been assassinated by Israeli forces and by Israelis airstrike. The journalists and their family, as well as that's elaborated how much Israel's brutality and how much Israel doesn't have a moral, and Israel's forces doesn't have any kind of commitment to the international humanitarian law. So Osama, yesterday at night, they targeted Anas Al-Sharif and Mohammed and Mohammed several of Palestinian journalists. That's deliberately by Israeli forces. And before this targeting, Israel and its media machine used to claim that Mohammed Anas Al-Sharif, he was a member of Hamas, despite Al Jazeera refused and rejected such kind of a statement. But Israel, it was trying to mobilize the international community to adopt assassination of Anas Al-Sharif and his friend. Before this, also they target civilians. Also that Hassan several of Palestinians journalists, I can't remember the name. Unfortunately, he was also civilians and he was in hospital. Israel targeting his room in hospital and claimed that he participated in October 7 and he invaded the border between Gaza and Israel. About Hassan Slayh, they targeting him deliberately, as several of journalists, and we can't forget Shireen Abu Akleh, the correspondent of Al Jazeera in West Bank, and they got killed by Israeli sniper. And up to now, Israel reject and refuse such kind of claimant, but despite it's confirmed by the experts and by several of investigating. Osama, the sample of this targeting that what is coming for Gaza City is worth and terrible, because we know that Anas Al-Sharif, Al Jazeera correspondent, during the Israelis invasion for southern part of Gaza in 2023 and 2024, he used to reveal the real face and the brutality of Israel on the ground. And he used to also reveal the starvation and about the lack of food and the lack of medicine in southern part of Gaza during the Israeli military operation before reaching to the ceasefire in January 2025. So Osama, the several of media outlets condemned the Israelis' action, and the several of Palestinians human rights group, they condemned Israelis' action, as well as globally. We have seen and witnessed a several of condemnation Israel doesn't care about the international community. Israel doesn't care about the morale and the ethics of war by killing civilians, by killing the journalists who used to cover the situation and describe what is happening on the ground by giving a culmination and giving a justification that they used to member of Hamas, and this is a totally Osama is a totally Israelis propaganda to find justification to target civilians and journalists. So more than 300 journalists Osama have been killed by Israelis airstrike and by Israelis gunfire. That's showing how much Israel is brutal on the ground and how much Israel doesn't distinguish between civilians and militant group, doesn't distinguish about any children and women in Gaza. They consider all of them, they are under the target and under the attack, and they are allowed to kill whoever. So today it's a mourning day by assassinating a journalist who was unarmed, who was completely innocent, to describe the situation and portray the situation for the international community and to show the real face and the reality on the ground without any kind of modifying or without any kind of amplifying. uh, it's a it's a terrible, as I mentioned, Osama, this step by Israelis military and IDF, it has a
Yes,
symbolic. What is coming to Gaza City for the invasion? It's a terrible and
yes,
worth by killing the
yes.
followers on social media and killing the journalist. That's mean Israel is going to commit a several of crime in Gaza City by displacing the civilians. More than 1 million Palestinians, they are
Yes.
under the risk of displacement. More than 1 million civilians, they are suffering
Ali,
from the starvation. And Benjamin Netanyahu and his machinery media
yes,
and machinery propaganda, they are rejecting such kind of facts.
yes. Ali, thank you very much
Yeah,
for
also.
sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you and we stay on this topic now. Israel's far right